Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here at the 2018 January Metal Investors Forum. I'm here with Mike Halvorson. He's the Vice Chairman of Orezone Gold, which is a company that I follow, a developer in Burkina Faso. If anyone who follows the stock, I mean, you might know it had a few trials and tribulations, but it's coming on strong now. And Mike, you know, what's changed in the last 12 to 18 months? I mean, what do you feel is sort of turning the story around?
Well, about 16 months ago, we had a shock when our resource estimate came back from, and it resulted in about a 30% drop in reserves. And so that resulted in almost a 50% drop in our share price. And literally caused the entire board and the company and all of our shareholders a lot of grief. So we've gone past that. We've have essentially replaced our chief executive officer with a fellow with more mine building experience. We've are in the midst of redoing our feasibility study, which is resulting in a much more simplified processing and plant and mining methods. And the result is essentially, and this, as you mentioned, we're back on track. The result is we've managed to reduce our capital cost estimate by about 40%. And we've increased so from 250 million to 150 million. And our internal rate of return has gone from sort of the 15 to 20 range to it should be in the 40% or better range. So the payout on the property once in production should be just over 2 years. And it's turned our stock around. We now are up 40% or so in the last 2 or 3 months. And I think that certainly for our shareholders, they're enjoying this much more than the other ride.
Yeah, well, and it's in Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso is a country that I think it's a great one to be in for mining companies. It's been very successful both in terms of discovery potential, but also it's been very successful in terms of allowing companies to get through a reasonable permitting process and build mines. There's been a lot of mines built there. The current sort of configuration the configuration it will have after the feasibility study, what's the mine life more or less? What's your guess?
About 10 years at this stage. We have lots of potential to expand the resource and reserves. There's actually a gap zone which we excluded from the original permitting process because there's a seasonal waterway, which we now have been in discussions with the Ministry of Mining over there. They've asked us to reapply for that zone, or to apply for that zone to bring it in. That would add about 1.5 years in mine life. In addition, the project is open at depth and on strike. So there's lots of potential to expand it, but this is a nice size project for a company our size to build. A bigger company would probably, we're just going to develop the oxides at this point in time. A bigger company might go in with a totally different plan because their cost of capital is different, their access to capital is different. They might be trying to mine the 5 million ounce deposit that's there,
through a mill.
But that requires a much, probably 350 million in capital, whereas we're going in to just mine the oxides, which will have lower costs and lower capital.
Yeah, and if your feasibility study is going to come out with those sort of numbers, I mean, that does imply, like you said, around a 2-year payback on something with a 10-year plus mine life. I mean, that's the type of ratio I know majors look for. I mean, they want to see that kind of ratio of there's a lot of payday after you paid off the capital.
This, to be honest, this would be a great mine to build and own, because it's going to make a lot of money. But yes, when you have these kind of cash flows coming from this project, I think will be attractive to other companies. I don't know if it's right at the size to be attractive to a major, but what's important to realize is that there's two other significant discoveries that are now building into major deposits. So within 30-kilometer radius, or pardon me, diameter, 30-kilometer diameter, we have over 10 million ounces already identified, and all sorts of exploration upside. Well, that kind of district-scaled potential is a very major interest to big companies. But a mine our size would probably be, as it's planned, would be of interest to some of the mid-cap mining companies.
And so what do you anticipate is going to be the delivery of this new feasibility study?
About the end of the second quarter, so let's call it, let's be safe and say July, but we might get it sooner.
Okay. There you have it. I mean, there's been a lot of, I mean, I've followed it and owned it for a while, so I mean, I've been on the ride along with Mike, but it's been a nice ride lately, and it's very impressive. I mean, I strongly suggest people take a look at this company. I can't really overstate enough how much things have been turned around when it comes to the project economics, and you know, when you start going down into that sort of capital scale, things get a lot easier when it comes to things like money raising. Mike's right about the scale of it, but I happen to think this is the sort of thing where, you know, maybe not like a Newmont, but certainly any number of mid-sized companies would be very interested in a project that throws off numbers like this. And with Patty, the team you guys have got, I mean, the guy's built a few mines. It's not like like he doesn't know how to do it.
That's correct.
Yeah.
A major company would be considering all of the reserves,
Yeah, they'd go for
all the
all.
resources, and so it's certainly possible that could happen. But we've got to proceed, and Patty has built mines before, and we've been beefing up our team. We got picked up a couple of very senior consulting engineers, and so, you know, like I say, it'd be fun to actually be involved with a company that made a lot of money, actually in terms of earnings, as opposed to selling them all right away. But on the other hand, that could happen.
I believe you had some success in the old M&A business, as I recall, Mike. But I can picture you guys in Burkina cutting the ribbon. So we'll see how it turns out. I think it'll be a fun ride from here. Orezone gold.